G'day, this is Mr. Thompson. I recently created a video showing you how to build a simple combat wedge robot, and it turned out to be not that simple because these motor brackets in here turned out to be fairly complex, and I realised that might have been a little too complicated to start with. So what I've done instead, I'm going to create another one, and this time I'm going to give you the brackets. So if I double click on that, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to give you these brackets here. Let me just hide that so you can see. So I've built these brackets, and they're quite nice little brackets. So when you slide the motor in there, it snaps in quite satisfyingly, and it's got these holes there, and you can see some spaces for the nuts, so that you can screw them into your into the robot body that you design. So let me just close that. I don't need to save that. All right, so we're going to build something that looks a little bit like that. So let's get started. I'll just go, we'll create a new one. So we've got a brand new model here. And we're going to start by drawing a sketch. So I'm going to choose, click on Create Sketch. I'm going to click on this side plane here, like that. And I'm just going to zoom out. And I'm doing that zoom out, zoom in thing with my mouse wheel. Which I find is an easy way to move around. Now R for rectangle, and I'm going to click on the origin there, and then I'm going to come out by, well, let's see if I type 50, and then tab and 30. That's the dimensions I want. Okay, let's just zoom in a bit. Okay, like that. And you can see when I'm moving, when I use my wheel mouse, wherever my mouse is pointed, that becomes the center of my zoom. So that's pretty handy to know. Those in a little bit. All right, so zoom in a little bit like that. Now I'm going to do a circle. So C for circle. I'm going to come up here somewhere and do a circle, and it's going to be any old size, about that big, like that. I didn't specify a diameter because I don't want to. I'll show you why in a moment. Now I'm going to make a scoopy front. A technical term. I'm going to make a scoopy front on my wedge. So that it's good at getting underneath other robots. Now that circle, the edge of that circle needs to be on that point there. So I'm going to use a constraint, and I'm going to use this coincident constraint. If you can't see it on your computer, you might have to come down here to find it. Coincident constraint, and I click on the outside of the circle and that point there. So those two shapes now, or that point and the circle, they're constrained to be aligned. So if I press escape, and if I try to move my circle around, well, grab the center of the circle. Oh, I can't do that. Okay, I was going to show you that. Anyway, never mind. It's constrained. Okay, now the other thing I want to do is I want to put the bottom of that circle on that line there. So if I use a tangent constraint, and if I click on that circle, and then I can't click on that line, but I can come over and click on that line, and it puts on a tangent as if that line was extended. All right, that looks pretty good. Now D for dimension, and I want to make the distance between the center there and this point here, like that distance there. I want that to be 50 millimeters. And the reason I want 50 millimeters is the whole length of my combat robot can't be more than 100, well, can't be more than 4 inches, which is about 101 millimeters. So if I keep my robot, all the dimensions of my robot, height, width, depth, all of them within 100 millimeters, I'm okay. If I go longer than 100 millimeters, my robot's not legal. So that's going to be the shape of my robot. Okay, L for line, and I'm going to click on that point there and join it with that point there. And now I'm ready to extrude. So E for extrude. I'm going to pick, let's see, that point, that shape there, and I like to click on home so I can see what's going on. Just zoom out a little bit, zoom back in. Okay, I want to zoom both sides, symmetric like that. Zoom symmetric. This is really good practice. If you're building something that's symmetrical, you should build it symmetrical around your origin point. And the reason for that is you'll see later on when I want to mirror things, it just makes mirroring so much easier because we can use the origin planes as the reflection plane. I'll show you what I mean later, but trust me, you want to extrude symmetrically where you can. So we're going to come out this way. How far do we want to come out? I think, actually, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go measurement the whole length. I want that whole length there from one side all the way to the other to be 75 millimeters, like that. So whole length, 75 millimeters. Okay, there we go. Now, oh, look at that. It's created a body and it's hidden the sketch. Let me just fix a few things up. That sketch that I just drew, I'm going to name that. I'm going to call it, I don't know, the side profile. And that body that I just created, let's call that, actually, you know what? It's not a shell yet, but it will be a shell when I'm finished with it. So I'm going to call that the shell of my combat robot. All right, so like I say, we're not finished. I'm going to turn that sketch back on because I haven't finished extruding from that sketch. So I'm just going to, when you extrude from it, it automatically hides. So I'm going to unhide it because I want to do another extrude. So I'm going to come around here, E for extrude, and I'm going to select that section there, that profile there, and I'm going to extrude that. Now I also want to extrude that symmetric. Whole length, the whole length needs to be, I'm going to go my full 100 millimeters. I want that to be the full allowable length. It's a joint extrusion, which is good. It's going to join these two shapes, these two bodies together, so they're one body, like that. There we go. Now I don't need this sketch anymore, so I can hide that sketch like that. There we go. Now that's solid. I want it to be hollow, so I'm going to shell it out. So if I click on this shell here, again, if you can't see any of these buttons, you'll find them in the menu underneath. So shell, and if I click on just this top face, like that, just the top face, then it'll leave that open, which is what I want. Now let's see, I want an inside thickness of 1.6 millimeters. I think 1.6 is reasonably strong, but not too heavy when we 3D print something. So, and our layer height is 0.2, so I made it a multiple of 0.2. All right, the direction is inside because I want that thickness of the shell to be inside what I've already drawn. And I'm going to click OK, and there we have a shell like that. All right, so far so good. What I want to do now it's time to bring the motor in. Now, I'm not going to show you this. It's pretty straightforward. This motor, I will put a link to the motor in the description, and you will have to download that motor and the bracket to your computer. It'll be a file. It'll be I'm not sure if it's going to be an STP or a STEP file, but anyway, it'll be a file. Download it to your computer. Then you'll click this upload button. Remember, that's my data panel in there if you can't see it, the 9 dots. You're going to click on the upload button and upload the bracket with the motor, and then you'll have it here so that you can choose from it. So I'm going to grab that, I'm going to bring that, doesn't matter, anywhere, just plonk it anywhere because it's going to go there wherever you put it. And the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything else, I'm going to rotate it. So I haven't clicked OK yet. I'm just going to rotate it by 90 degrees, minus 90 degrees like that, because that's the orientation I want, and click OK. Now you can see it's not really lined up particularly well, is it? It's sort of hanging out the bottom there and it's in a weird spot. I'm going to align it right into this corner, and the reason I want to do that is because then I can move it by an exact distance to where I want it. So I guess now before I do that, see this little anchor sign here? That anchor sign actually means that that component is grounded to the parent. That means I won't be able to move it around yet. So I'm going to unground it like that. Now I'm going to be able to move it. Okay, so the anchor sign's gone. All right, I'm going to go modify and align. And all right, now when you align, what you do first is you first select the thing you want to align to, and then you select the thing you want to move to that alignment point. I'll show you what I mean. So first I'm going to select the floor, the inside floor of my, well, actually, you know what? I won't do that. I'm going to come down here, or I'm going to select the back wall, the inside of the back wall. Now, not there, not there, don't want that. I just want any old boring, ordinary place on the back wall like that. Click like that. And then I'm going to come and select my other face, which is this one down here, that one there. And when I click on that, again, not in any special spot, just a boring part of the face like that. And I don't know if you saw that, those two are now aligned. So if I scroll this around, you can see that they're aligned. Okay, I want to do a bit more aligning. Actually, I won't click OK because I can just keep doing this aligning until I get it right without pressing OK. So again, I'm going to select the floor here, the object I want to align to, and then the object that I actually want to move is I want this base of the bracket to be aligned with that floor that I just selected first. So if I click there, now, okay, that's aligned. Good. All right, and one more alignment I want to do. I think if I come around, let's see, I'm going to choose, yuck. All right. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I want to choose that wall there. So again, not the center, just a boring place on the wall, on the inside of the wall like that. And then I'm going to come around like this and zoom in because I want the front of that bracket to line up with that inside wall that I just clicked on, like that. Okay, now I'm going to click OK because now I've got my, let me just click on top there so you can see what's going on. So that motor there is sitting right in the corner. Now, I actually don't want it to be there. I want it to move out a little bit, but because I've started it there, when I move it, I can move it by a certain distance and know exactly where it is. So I'm going to come here and in my browser tree, I'm going to click on that motor and bracket. Then I'm going to click M for move, and it gives me some arrows here. So it's already got move components, which is good because I selected a component. And I'm going to move this. If I move this 13 millimeters, now why is that? Because I know that my battery is 15 millimeters wide. So from here to here, I want that to be 16 millimeters. And I know that from here to here, that distance there is 3 millimeters. So if I move from here to here, if I move my motor out by 13 millimeters, then this wall here is going to be 16 millimeters from here to here, and that will fit my battery in behind the motors quite nicely. So I've done that. Okay, now the other thing I'm going to do here before I click OK is I'm going to capture position, and that sort of finalizes the position. So all the moving and alignment I've done is finished now, and it puts that it actually puts that captured position on my timeline. So okay, like that. Click home so we can see. All right, that's pretty good. Now I do want another one on the other side, but I'll show you a quick way of doing that later. First, I'm going to finish this side. So now let's see. At the moment, my axle's just sticking through the wall. I need to cut a hole so that in real life I can put that in place, because in real life you can't have two things in the same physical space, can you? All right, so I'm going to draw a sketch. So create a sketch here on this outside side wall here, like that. Let's zoom in so I can see what's going on. Now I want to project some lines from that bracket into my sketch so that I can use them to cut out a shape. So I'm going to do P for project, and I'm going to come around here like this. I'm going to choose that line there. I want that line as part of my sketch. I'm going to choose that line there also as part of my sketch. And if I come back around to the front here again, I think I also would like to, actually I'm just going to click on the front of that so it's square. If I click on where it says right, that squares everything up. I'm going to zoom right in here. I would like to select that circle there, but it's not letting me do that. So I'm going to come up here and click selection priority, select edge priority. So instead of trying to select that face on the front, I should be able to, it's not letting me do it. I'll try again. Selection priority, edge. There we go, that's working. So if I click on that edge there now and go OK, Now that edge is in my sketch. Can't see it very well, but it is in part of my sketch, so I can use it. In fact, more importantly, the center point of that circle that I just selected is in my sketch. All right, now, I guess what I want to do now, you know what? I probably didn't even need that. Never mind. We'll keep going. I'm going to do R for rectangle. I'm going to draw a rectangle from this very top here, and I'm going to draw it down to about here. About here. Now, that's not its final position, but that's okay because I'm going to use constraints to line it up. So I'm going to come over here on constraints. I'm going to use a collinear. That means it lines up two lines, collinear. So what I'm going to say is, remember I put that line in my sketch. So I'm going to say I want that line and that line to be collinear. I want them to line up. And that line and that line I also want to be collinear. And that line and that line I want to be collinear. You know what? I didn't need that center point after all, did I? That's okay. Doesn't hurt to have it. All right, so there's my sketch. So you can see I've got a rectangle here. I'm going to cut that rectangle out. So E for extrude. E for extrude. Now, actually, you know what I'll do before I'm going to do a cut extrude. So I'm going to click on that profile there, and I'm going to cut it back this way. But I don't want to cut my motor or my bracket. I only want to cut the shell. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide the motor and the bracket at the moment because I don't want to cut that. Right? Oh, actually, I just noticed that little hole there. I want to make sure that's included in my cut. I don't want to leave a little gap in the middle there like that. Okay, that's better. That's working. Okay, now cut to object. So if I scroll around using my view cube to the back object there, to the back face there, or the other side face, and click OK. That's cut. Okay, so that's, and now I can turn my motor bracket back on, and I can see what that's done. That's created a nice little hole that my axle can stick through, and that'll stop all my wires from getting in the way of my wheels. Okay, we're pretty close to being done. Let's go to the top. What I want to do now is I just want to put some holes so that I can, some holes for my screws that are going to hold this bracket in place. So I'm going to do a sketch on the floor, like that, on the floor. And if I come over here and do P for project again, P, and I'm going to project that circle into my sketch and that circle into my sketch and go OK. And now that those circles are in my sketch, I can do E for extrude, and I can extrude those shapes, those circles, and I'm going to, let's see, to object, because I want to extrude them all the way down to the bottom there, and that's creating a cut extrusion all the way to the bottom of my shell. Okay, like that, and there we go. So now we've got holes all the way through the shell, and they're perfectly lined up with where I want my bracket. Okay, now you're probably thinking, we've got to do all of that again over on the other side, except we don't. We're going to use a shortcut. We're going to mirror. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to click on that bracket here in my browser tree, and I'm going to create a mirror, and I'm going to mirror the object's already selected it because I selected it first. And if I click on mirror plane, now because we were really clever and we built our body symmetrical about the axis, I can use that, or about the origin, I can use that axis plane there. I can use that as my mirror plane. I don't have to go and build a mid plane or anything like that. So if I click on that, can you see it's going to create a mirror like that. So if I click on OK, there we go. And we've got the other one in. Now, the only thing I haven't done is I need those holes in there as well. So I can mirror those as well. So again, I'm going to click, let's see, create mirror. And last time we mirrored components, it selected that automatically because we selected a component before we chose mirror. This time I want to select features. So the features that I want to mirror are these holes. So I'm going to come down and click on there like that. Click on those holes, and my mirror plane again is going to be that plane there in the center. And what type I find, you know what, I find optimized works. I'm not really sure the difference between optimize, identical, and adjust. But if one doesn't work for me, I just try another one. Sometimes you get weird results. I find optimized tends to work nicely. So if I zoom out and then zoom back in here, okay, if I press OK, like that, we should find, if I scroll around like this, there we go. We should find that there's holes in the bottom there on both sides. Okay, and you know what? That'll do. We will create a lid in another video, but I think now is probably a good time to stop and 3D print your chassis like that. 3D print your shell and practice putting it all together and make sure everything fits. And once we're happy that everything fits, you know what? You could even race that around without a lid on it. We'll come back later and we'll put a lid on later. So I think. Okay, look, let me just quickly show you. You probably know this already. To 3D print it, we're going to click on Utilities. We're going to click on Make. We're going to select the shell body, so not the brackets, although we can print the brackets as well, but we'll do the shell. And then we're going to, what you're going to do is you're going to go, or you're going to untick this box here, like that, because you won't have the slicer on your computer, and click OK. And then you're going to, there's the shell, because we named the body, it's called shell, that's good. And we're going to save it to my computer and put it in the folder that you want to save it into. Click on save, and then that'll export the STL file, shell.stl. And then wherever you saved it, you can then copy that onto a USB port. Take the USB port to the computer that's got the slicer. We can slice it up and we can send it to the 3D printer. All right, you'll click save. I'm not going to bother. Okay. All right, I think that'll do for this video.